I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're journeying into rugged Alaska wilderness with Kristina's Cache, a memoir of adventure and survival in Alaska by Kristina Ahlnäs. This thrilling memoir recounts her brave experiences from living 4 years in a 49 square foot cache to surviving without running water for nearly 2 decades. If you're captivated by survival, adventure, and true stories of resilience, Kristina's journey through Alaska is sure to inspire. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us once again here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Prime 7 Media for helping us put her in the spotlight today, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her amazing book. The links are below this interview. Kristina, great to see you here today on Spotlight. Welcome back.
Well, thank you for asking me back.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Great to have you on the show. Your story is incredible. Let's begin at the beginning. How did you wind up in Alaska?
Well, how did I end up in Alaska? I was working in Sweden. I thought my job situation was insecure, and then I knew someone I had worked with before who had moved to Alaska, and he just offers me a job when one of his people quits.
Amazing. So you're living in Sweden, working in Sweden, a job opportunity opens up in Alaska. Alaska is an unusual place, even for us here in America.
Right.
It seems cold at times, dark at times, unknown at times, a vast wilderness at other times. So what was going through your head when you said, yeah, I'd like to move to Alaska?
Well, Alaska, I'm accustomed to the North Country. Finland and Alaska, they're on the same latitude. So this was just intriguing. And, I thought my job situation was insecure in Sweden, so why not?
Exactly. Well, that's a sense of adventure that you need to get things done and to explore places like Alaska to say, why not? And like you said, you came from a cold climate anyway, so going to another cold climate wasn't that different. But I'm sure when you arrived in Alaska, it didn't look much like Stockholm, right?
Not exactly. And of course, I came to the capital, Juneau, and
Mhm.
it didn't look like a capital to me.
Okay. And tell us about this 49 square foot cache that you lived in. It's amazingly small. It's basically what, like 5 by 10 or less?
Well, it's 7 by 7. Well, 7 by 7 feet inside,
Wow.
and I thought, well, 8 by 8, outside. I wanted to make. I had to have a place where to live because the conditions got bad in Fairbanks. There was nothing you could rent, so I bought a tent, and then I started to build my practice house, and then I was going to build my cabin, and I thought, let's start with something I can build fast. And if I make mistakes, make them in a small scale.
Amazing. So you built this little house for yourself, this cache, as you call it, that was basically a 7 by 7 box, a place to sleep, a place to eat. Did you have a place to eat in there?
Exactly. I mean, that was my home. And of course, it had a 16-foot ladder because I lived, in the woods, and I was concerned about the wild animals. So why not keep myself safe?
You were 16 feet or so above the ground?
The ladder was 16 feet.
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. Amazing. Amazing. And electricity, running water, did you have those?
Uh, I got electricity after 1 year. I got running water after 18 years when I drilled a
Amazing.
well.
Amazing. So after 18 years, you finally drilled a well and you had water in your cache in your home.
No, well, by that time, I already had my big cabin.
Oh, okay. Okay. So the whole time you were living in that small space, you had no water other than what you brought in buckets, I guess, or
Exactly.
containers.
Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. What was the most memorable part of living in, a tiny space like that in the wilderness?
Well, it did not take much to clean, for instance.
It's a simple life. I mean, there's something said to be living a simple life where you have to be neat, You have to be orderly. You have to, almost act like you're camping, right? You basically, if you have no electricity, you're rising with the sun and going to bed with the sun, right?
Well, in the winter in Fairbanks, that was only a 4 hour period. So, I had my Coleman lanterns for light,
Mm. And what
kerosene.
what did you do for heat?
I had I found a small wood burning stove, and
Mm.
I did not realize it was meant for an army tent, but it was perfect in my cache.
Got the job done. Got the
Yes.
job done. What was your work at the time? What were you doing for a living?
I was working at the University of Alaska, and I had a variety of jobs depending on who was, funding me at the time. And I would do my job by myself. So the boss didn't care when I did the work. And some of the work I had to use a computer to interpret the satellite pictures I had, and there were very few computers available. So being there at night was really a benefit. So then I could get access to a computer,
Mm.
and I could be at home and do my construction in the daylight.
Amazing, amazing. So the university was like part of your civilization in a way. You had your electricity, you had your bathroom, you had your computer, you had all the creature comforts there, right?
Right.
Amazing, amazing. How long did you live in Alaska overall?
Uh, I was there for a little bit over 30 years.
Over 30 years.
Yeah.
Amazing. Did you grow to love
No,
it?
excuse me. The book deals with 30 years of my life in Alaska, but I was actually there for more than 50 years.
Wow. Amazing, amazing. And what did you learn about yourself living in Alaska? In some cases, in a primitive manner, really.
Well, I was a Girl Scout for starters. So, and in Finland, Girl Scouts is more like Boy Scouts in USA. So, I mean, you are roughing it, and I learned a lot of useful skills that I could adapt, in Alaska.
You obviously did. You built your home. Were you using power saws and, hammers and nails and screws, and you were doing everything you needed to do? How'd you get those skills to learn how to build a house?
Well, I took a class. University of Alaska had two special classes. One was log cabin construction, and the other one was belly dancing. So why not? I took both of them.
One was absolutely useful. I don't know about the other, but one was a matter of survival, that's for sure. That's amazing. That's amazing. So, did you learn to love Alaska? Did that become your home?
Oh yes, definitely, because Alaska was very much like Finland. Same time of birch trees and blueberries
Uh,
and garden. I could grow the same things I did at home.
exactly. What about bears and wild animals and forces of nature, huge storms? Learning to live through all of that can be challenging, right?
Yeah, I did not understand it, but I had a compost box, and it was in away in the woods, and I cooked some fish, and then the leftover I dumped in the compost box, and then and yeah. So then a neighbor came running, warning me that there was a bear around.
Oh,
And yeah, it was me who invited it. We dumping the leftover salmon in the.
you don't want to compost when you have a bear in the
No,
area
no,
because for them that's a buffet, that's a feast.
you're right.
So, wow. So, you learn not to compost or you had to dispose of your trash in a different method, I presume, right?
Yes.
Without a doubt. What do you hope readers take away from your adventure and survival in Alaska?
Well, I want them, to be entertained by reading it, and I have all kinds of problems, and actually a problem does not mean that you cannot do what you want. You just have to figure out a way how to get it done, and that means that The reader should just think about themselves that, do I really want to do something? Go for it.
Yeah. I think that is the message that I received from reading your book as well, that if you have a bold dream, just do it. Don't be
Mhm.
afraid. Don't put it off for another year or another decade. Live your life now. You get an opportunity to go to Alaska, go to Alaska.
Yeah.
Find out what it's like to live in a cold environment where there are bears and obstacles that you're not familiar with when you live in a city. I think you learn a lot about yourself because you draw upon yourself as a problem solver, like you said, right?
And I just noticed that if I travel before I can afford it, I see a lot more
Hmm.
because then you live in a way, to save money that so you see things tourists don't normally see.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, if you've got a lot of money, you're going to stay at the best hotels, you're going to go to the finest restaurants, you're going to fly the best airline. But if you don't have a lot of money, you might hitchhike. You
Mhm.
might stay at a youth hostel. You might build a 7x7 cache to live in for 4 years without running water and electricity for a year of it. Yeah, you're right. There's something about wealth and affluence that keeps us insulated from what real life and real living is all about. And I think if you get your hands dirty, if you take that class, if not on belly dancing, but on log cabin building, you will absolutely empower your life and have wonderful experiences. I mean, you've got so many great experiences, you've put them in a book. I
Mhm.
mean, how many people have a life like that? That a bold adventure of doing exactly what they set out to do. I
Yeah.
mean, I think that's wonderful. Why did you finally leave Alaska?
Well, life got too tough. My chainsaw didn't start. My shoulder started to bother me.
Yeah.
So when you cannot start your chainsaw anymore because your shoulder bothers you, I guess it's time to leave.
After 50 years of starting the chainsaw, it is time to say, let me go play someplace a little bit warmer. And I think that's smart. And when you and I were chatting before we began, you live in a warm climate now or a warmer climate. And you said, it's not so bad living in Alaska as long as you dress for it.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I think that's your attitude, get that parka, put it on, pull on your boots, and get yourself that chainsaw and learn how to do it, learn how to survive, learn how to make memories, learn how to make dreams come true. I think that's wonderful. And before we leave you today, anything you'd like the folks at home to know?
Well, we talked about being dressed. So this is the boot, a boot the army wears in Alaska. And these were hard to come by. I mean, of course, this is a surplus boot, but this is what you wear, and it keeps your feet warm. And if you don't get army surplus, this is what I mean. What you get. This is an insulated boot to keep you
Yeah.
warm.
Wonderful, wonderful. Those are the tools of your trade if you live in Alaska and you want to go
Right,
for a walk,
right.
if you want to survive. And I think you've got rich boot, poor boot there. If you're
Yeah.
just getting by, you get the Army surplus. If you got a little extra money, you get that long insulated one. Both served you well in living your adventure, living your life, living your dreams. The name of the book we've been focusing on today is called Kristina's Cache, a memoir of adventure and survival in Alaska by Kristina Ahlnäs. It is an absolutely thrilling memoir that recounts her brave experiences from living 4 years in a 49 square foot cache to surviving without running water for nearly 2 decades. If you're captivated by survival, adventure, and true stories of resilience, Kristina's journey through Alaska will absolutely inspire you and perhaps light a fire on you to go and pursue your own dreams that you've been putting off and saving for another day. That day is now. Kristina, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Yeah, well, thank you.
I appreciate your time and all of your wonderful stories and your great, courageous spirit. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time, this time, until next time on Spotlight.